Welcome to the Culture Edit. Unique perspectives into the personal and professional lives of individuals at the helm of successful business, athletics, art, and design. Welcome to the Culture Edit. It is Tuesday. We are really procrastinating on this episode. We apologize, but we're in episode 55. We've just had a lot going on, and we'll recap the weekend, but it was a really busy weekend, really busy Monday, and we just literally didn't have the time to record the episode.
Well, we might have had the time, but due to physical and mental exhaustion, it would not have been a very good episode.
Yes, yeah.
That's what we've learned, is like, don't try to do this whenever you have low energy from physical and mental exhaustion.
Well, and people that are endurance athletes can understand this. When you have a really big block, and it's almost like Monday after a long training block, you kind of wake up feeling like sick, emotionally drained, in my case, emotionally unstable. It's just not a good time to record if you feel that tired.
We've tried before.
We have tried.
Yeah.
But it was a really great weekend. So it was Michael's birthday, a lot of festivities, but a lot of really productive festivities. Like there was never or at least I don't feel like anyone partied too much. I don't feel like anyone
productive festivities.
Because
things were produced.
No, like physically it was very productive. Like we didn't stay out super late and drink a lot of alcohol. So that's right. Unproductive festivities, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Productive festivities is we woke up on Saturday, I went for a run, then I got on my bike, met Shannon. We rode out to Stone Mountain to meet you and Michael, who had done Tucker. So that's productive birthday festivities.
That's true.
Afterwards, we went to Breaker, which was amazing as usual. Met up with friends and had a good time.
The best peel and eat shrimp you can buy.
Oh my gosh, they're so good. You didn't believe me until
I believe you now. It's the real deal.
Peel and eat shrimp. A lot of people aren't shrimp fans, and I would have put myself in that category when I was a kid. But for something turned. I don't know what happened. I think it's because they're relatively healthy, and so anything that isn't covered in butter and oil and fried is attractive in my opinion. So I was like, oh, peel and eat shrimp. You really can't mess that up, and it's hard to make it unhealthy.
I like shrimp, boiled shrimp, fried shrimp, barbecue shrimp, fricassee shrimp. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was trying to let you finish. I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay.
I wasn't sure how long you were gonna if there's gonna be
That's you now.
Chocolate covered shrimp.
That's you now. You're Bubba Gump.
Yeah, Bubba Gump. You know what's funny is there was a place, I just remember this, and I don't know how widespread it was.
Bubba Gump Shrimp Company.
Yeah, across Florida. Was it just in Florida?
No, they started in Louisiana.
Okay. So, but there was one at Universal Studios City Walk in Orlando, and my friend Sabrina worked there for a while. We all worked at Universal or Disney in some capacity in our younger years.
It's one of the all-time great movie-inspired tourist traps.
Honestly, it was pretty good though. Their fried shrimp.
Really? I never ate there.
Yeah, we would go because if you have a friend that works somewhere, you go because you get a discount. And the fried shrimp were really good.
Huh?
Yeah, they're good. I mean, it's hard to mess up fried shrimp as well,
Yeah, I couldn't do it just because it was based on a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it was genius of someone to be
but that's Margaritaville. The Margaritaville.
Well, but that was actually Jimmy Buffett.
I know, but it's still based on him and his music and stuff. It's also a tourist trap.
Bubba Gump didn't own Bubba Gump Shrimp Company that I know of.
Well, anyways, it was good. And
just exhausting. And then Sunday we did a big
we
ride
woke up.
too.
We attempted to do the airport ride. I was destroyed from the day before, so my legs were like, that's going to be a hard no. As soon as the group took off, single file, going hard.
After an hour, yeah.
Yeah, after an hour or so. You sat up and waited on me. Then we rode. Then we saw Shannon and Michael also had sat up because it was just so insanely fast. And it was Shannon's first real fast group ride because she's a pretty recent rider, but amazing bike handling skills. I give her kudos.
She lives in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I give her kudos because she's so new to riding, but to just jump into the airport ride is amazing. But again, not for the faint of heart. So we ended up doing Middle Airport.
Atlanta group rides are different.
Yeah, and
they're built different.
We ended up doing Middle Airport, the four of us, and it was a good day.
Yeah, no, it was really good.
But we were exhausted.
Yeah.
So.
Very exhausted. And this is called panic training.
Yeah.
So when you just kind of cram it in, that's why this week was such a big week, because it's 2 weeks before Steamboat, and that's your prime panic training miles.
You're panic training. I'm not panic training. I'm just training for no reason.
Yeah.
But you are panic training.
Yeah, of course. So let's talk about the Olympics, because that was something that we want to talk about last week. But
I mean, I think it's pretty amazing. Well, two things. One, that everything is streamed on Peacock and you can replay it, and that you just have full access to watch anything anytime you want, which I think is great, because in the past, once you kind of missed an event, maybe it wasn't easy to replay or find, or
well, you're at the mercy of just whatever the man showed you.
Yeah.
Right? Like you were just at the mercy.
So is this the first year Peacock has done this?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, because
but people that don't even know what's going on.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So that was the second thing, is because we're cyclists, we are very familiar with the Peacock app, all of that, because it's how you watch all your cycling events.
Tour de France,
other cycling events too.
Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah. And so we already had the app. But when I went to Run Club on Saturday, I was talking to people like how they were watching the Olympics, and they're still just doing old school like NBC, maybe CNBC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least
USA.
a couple of the guys that I talked to.
Yeah.
So they were like, wait, there's this app that you can like watch everything on one place. And I was like, yeah, Peacock.
You can watch anything you want.
You can watch, the world is your oyster. It's
everything.
A choose your adventure type of app.
Exactly.
So I don't think we've ever watched so much Olympics. I mean, I wouldn't say we're like tuned in fully all day, obviously, because we're working, but we have it on in the background, just kind of playing like the highlights. And you watch sports or glance over and see sports that you would never typically watch otherwise.
No, or I've intentionally gone to watch sports that we would never watch.
Yeah.
Like just, you see air pistols and you're like, what
is
going on with the air pistols?
Yeah.
And then you see some woman that looks like she's out of the Matrix, and a guy that looks like he came off of his couch, and they're competing against each other.
That's wild. That's wild. Also, I think what's the clay pigeon?
Skeet shooting?
Skeet shooting.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting too. Again, like a bunch of people that are just not fit but very skilled.
Yes.
And so it's like kind of crazy. Like when you think of an Olympian, you think of like very fit. You think of, obviously skill is a huge part of every sport. But truly there is no physical ability in skeet shooting. At least it does not appear so from my perspective.
No, just skill.
Yeah. So pretty entertaining though. And impressive, like really impressive.
But it also makes you realize how many sports should not be in the Olympics whenever you have this much access.
You have been on this tangent. You've been like pushing it hard, like talking to everyone about it. So
yeah.
I will let you. Why should not every sport be in the Olympics?
Now that we have access, we can watch everything.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I mean,
I'm not saying I disagree.
We've spent most of our time, obviously, first week, you were really into gymnastics. I can watch the gymnastics. I'm definitely not into it, other than the guy on the pommel horse winning, which was amazing.
Clark Kent.
That was truly, truly amazing. And then swimming, for the first week, I'm not super into the main. Those would be the two main lines of sports. So I'm watching all the other like weird stuff. And there's a lot of weird stuff that are in the Olympics. And then it transitions now into track. So track and field. So now I'm really excited because I'm watching like qualifiers. I watch shot put, all that stuff. But the more we started talking about like these weird, like the air pistols, like shooting is in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right. Like I get archery because it comes from an old time and requires a lot of skill, but shooting, that was one thing we started scratching our head about. And then we start watching the horse jumping, the horse racing.
But okay, so now you have me confused, because originally you were on this platform because you were saying that
I'm gonna take you on the journey.
Okay,
I'm taking you on the journey.
Because I didn't say anything about shooting. You said stuff about shooting.
Right. So I'm taking you on the journey. So then we were watching horses, and we're realizing, okay, well, these are people. These are all millionaires because it's the only way. And you start doing the research.
The racers aren't, but yeah.
The people that own the horses.
Yeah.
Like we're like, how the hell did a horse get to Paris from Australia? Right.
Yeah.
And so we start doing the research, and it's like millions and millions of dollars for this horse.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of controversy around the horses, whether or not they're even treated the right way, because there was a video of a British racer beating her horse right before the Olympics. Yeah, she got kicked out.
Oh, cancel her.
So then you're like, okay, well, why is that a sport? Like, how many people even have access to play this?
Yeah.
So then we start thinking, okay, but then you've got sports, I think there's a whole nother category of sports I think are really cool, that making them part of the Olympics makes them not cool.
Interesting.
I've got 2 examples for you.
Okay.
Skateboarding
Yeah.
and surfing. Both of them are super cool outside of the Olympics. You bring Nia Houston into the Olympics, all of a sudden he doesn't look as cool because he's got to wear his USA kit, right? Or like the surfing. And the other thing with these two is that they're so subjective.
Yeah.
Like the measuring of how someone gets a gold medal is just someone's opinion of whether or not that trick looked cool, right? So in
I guess
skateboarding,
I don't know
it's not
anything
technical.
about skateboarding. I don't know anything about surfing. So in my mind, I'm like, could it be equally as technical? Like, could there be specific moves in skateboarding that
There are
equally technical to gymnastics?
not equally, no. I mean, there's
Well, I don't mean
there's
from a
definitely
difficulty, but like from a grading perspective. Like if you do a double kick flip twisty doodle, like is that known that is like a really difficult thing?
yeah, but then they're deciding how well they did it, which is all subjective.
But it's the same as gymnastics.
But the surfing, well, no, because the type of tricks aren't as complicated as what they're doing in gymnastics, and there's not a standard. Whereas in surfing, it's even worse because there's really not. They're just surfing.
I kind of disagree with you on skateboarding because I do think there's a lot of skill and technique to it that can be judged.
This is more the cool argument. I think it doesn't look cool.
And they're on like a very controlled course. The issue I have with surfing is that it's an uncontrolled variable. So like not everyone is competing on the same wave. Not everyone is competing on the same current or weather, whatever. So I think that in my mind, when I think of which, and I know we just had an Olympic sailor, but even that they're all
sailing at the same time.
They're sailing at the same time.
Yeah.
And so even though there could be slight different variables there, for the most part, it's the same. But I think, it's really hard with surfing because you're like waiting on a very specific wave that isn't going to be the same ever again. Yeah. So then what's the controlled variable with that you're judging?
Yeah.
Skateboarding, there's a controlled variable you're judging. You're on the same ramps, you're on the same course, you're trying to attempt the same tricks.
But they don't have to do the same tricks. That's the thing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
They don't have to do the same tricks.
From my
they just do whatever the hell they want.
I think that there's certain things they're trying to hit to get points though, right? There has to be.
I think they know what the tricks are that get you more points, but they don't have to do them. But my argument on skateboarding is that it's less cool that it's part of the Olympics.
I guess. I don't know.
But then we're talking about the big sports like basketball, soccer.
Yeah.
Football.
This I agree with you on.
Like, okay, so how many giant soccer tournaments do we have in this world? Right? Like you've got the World Cup, you've got the European Cup, you've got Capo Cup. Like these guys make millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they're doing this they're having these big tournaments all the time. Why do we need to go play the Olympics another 4 years too, whenever they're doing that World Cup every 4 years? World Cup, I would say arguably for them is way bigger than the Olympics. And no one cares about the Olympics. So like, no one cares about soccer in the Olympics. Oh. So it's like, why are we doing like the basketball? Like, I guess more countries play basketball now. So, they've got a shot at silver or bronze. But it was more of like, you start thinking about the big, big sports where basically I was thinking of a rule. If the average salary is over $1 million, it shouldn't be the Olympics.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that the Olympics used to prohibit professionals from playing.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And one of the guys I was talking to at Run Club, I think he's probably about your age. So he was even talking about like back when did it stop? Like 1996, I think.
I think it was 96.
Yeah, he was like, I remember before that, it was much more interesting to watch because it was more of like this amateur pro athlete versus celebrity.
It was 92, sorry.
Okay, celebrity pro athlete that makes $1 bazillion. I mean, I think that these sports should still be in the Olympics, but I think it would be really cool if instead of having the LeBron James, the all these guys who have so many resources at their fingertips and they play at a totally different level all year round or all season round, to then go and be with guys from other countries, mainly from other countries that they just. And there are guys from other countries that play in the NBA, obviously, but there's a lot of people.
Very few. Very few, though.
But these teams are having to pack their roster for the Olympics with virtually a bunch of like domestic pros.
Yeah.
And so I think it'd be cooler if it was just the domestic pros that aren't at the NBA elite level playing each other, because then that could even be.
So college players. That's what it used to be.
But there's domestic teams that aren't collegiate teams.
Oh, you mean like the D League and all that stuff?
Yeah, there's tons of those, like in Germany and Eastern Europe. And so my point is, it would be a lot, I think, more of an even playing field from a...
So you just say no NBA players.
I say no NBA players because it's like taking... It's taking people that have like I was listening to this podcast this morning with this famous like sleep scientist, and she is specifically hired for like I can't remember if it was LeBron James, but someone really famous like hired her specifically to essentially study his sleep, put him in a hyperbaric chamber, like doing crazy stuff to alter your body and your recovery and your performance. So they have that because they're just rich, whereas a lot of people don't have that. And I know that you can never have everything totally fair, but I just think it would be cooler if it was just more of like a domestic pro level athletes across the board competing instead of sprinkling in these bazillionaires.
So it used to be college. It used to be college players, and it was I remember it was 1992 was the first dream team, Barcelona, and that's whenever they opened the floodgates to allow professionals from the U.S. because basically other countries like Russia or the USSR they had professional athletes. That's all they did, and they were paid to play. So they were trying to like. And it was so complicated about whether or not you're professional or amateur. And that was basically the IOC just threw up their hands. They're like, screw it, let everyone in. But my point is when they did that, they probably should have gotten rid of some of these big sports. It doesn't even matter whether or not they're in the Olympics. It doesn't matter whether or not basketball's Olympic sport or soccer's Olympic sport because they have a platform where the whole world is focused on them multiple times a year. And I think you're taking away from some of these smaller sports that this is all they have. Like this Olympics is all you have if you're a field hockey player, right? Like that's it.
Yeah.
And so, or beach volleyball. Has anyone ever watched beach volleyball outside of the Olympics? I don't know. I
feel like John Trainer is listening right now and he's screaming at the podcast because like he's definitely going to have an opinion on this.
Right. I don't think he might agree.
Well, no, I'm not saying, I didn't say he would disagree. I'm just saying he has an opinion.
The question I have though with this philosophy is whether or not cycling should be an Olympics. Road cycling should be an Olympics. I definitely think track. So that's a great example. Track. These people, the land of misfit toys. This is the only time they get to like the world is focused on them. No other time is anyone ever watching track cycling other than the Olympics. So I don't know. I question whether or not.
Why?
But then. I mean, because you got the Tour de France, and maybe it's just the men. I mean, you've got the Tour de France. It's the biggest sporting event in the world. It just happened.
Yeah.
Why do you then need to go to the Olympics?
But it's only every 4 years, though.
I know. I just don't think it's that big of a deal for them.
I disagree.
But
the way that
it is.
Evenepoel looked when he won the Olympic road race. If you were to be like, do you think it's that big of a deal to you because you also just did Tour de France? He'd be like, yeah, I just got a gold medal.
Well, that's because he won.
Well, I know, but someone's got to win. It's a big
deal. Yeah, of course, the winner, it's a big deal. That's why he gets to slam down his receiver.
Yeah.
It's such a great...
I don't know if I agree with you on the road cycling thing because I think that there's not a lot of times where, let's say, like the random 12-year-old girl has the opportunity or has the knowledge to watch a professional female cycling race because if your parents aren't into cycling as a kid, you don't really you don't have access or just it's just not in your purview. However, if everyone watches the Olympics, and so I think that kids have more access to view something like cycling if it's in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why I kind of disagree with you, and even some of the other sports, because even if that inspires kids who would have never, like, who's going to watch, do they even record professional, like, shooting on any other channel? I'm sure they stream it on something, but maybe people don't have access to that, and then all of a sudden someone gets interested. So I don't know. I think
that's what I was saying. Maybe it's just men's road cycling, because I do think women don't have a platform. I mean, they have now they have, quote unquote, the La Femme Tour de France, which is 5 or 7 days, but they don't have the platform of the Tour de France every year.
Yeah, well, okay, so let's talk about pivoting from that. Are we done? Not with the Olympics, but I want to talk about Kristen Faulkner.
Sure, we can talk about Kristen Faulkner.
So while we're talking about the women's cycling, the women's...
so you don't have a final opinion on whether or not we need to get rid of some of these sports in the Olympics? How about breakdancing? Breakdancing is an Olympic sport.
But then you go into like, okay, so is like a ribbon dancing, is that an Olympic sport? Like there's so many things you could say, and I think...
Where's the line?
I guess I guess I just don't.
You know what's coming? I want to tell you what's
what?
coming. Virtual cycling.
Maybe.
Zwifting.
I think there could definitely be.
It's coming.
I think there could be a virtual Olympics where people are just competing virtually.
It's coming.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
But it's not going to be
in
the
our
same.
lifetime.
No one's going to care.
Say that, but okay. If I take you back to 1992, if they would have said one day breakdancing will be in the Olympics,
Yeah.
everyone would be like laughed you out of the building.
But did they include breakdancing in the Olympics this year because they wanted to make the women and men competitors equal?
I don't know.
Possibly. Oh, that's one thing we could talk about too. Is I don't have like a final opinion on which sports you kick out of the Olympics because you haven't really convinced, other than surfing because of the variables, the unpredictability of it. I just don't know how you judge it fairly.
So where's the line?
Well, I don't know if there is a line. I mean, it's just.
So it's just
why does
like,
there need to be a line?
Otherwise you've got all these random sports that no one plays. They're Olympic sports.
But how is it negatively impacting anyone?
It just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
And
all
it's
right.
expensive.
Okay. We're talking with Ryan and Natalie last night. We're like, think about how many random people could be out there that just like could be an Olympic athlete, but they haven't ever tapped in their potential. But that's why I think the Olympics is important, because it could take one time for someone to watch the Olympics and be like, you know what? That's really interesting. I could try that.
I'm going to be a breakdancer.
That's like the serendipitous thing that happens that leads them to this ultimate dream of becoming Olympian. So I don't know.
Except they couldn't say, you know, I'm going to win a gold in basketball.
Yeah, you couldn't say that. There's some things that you just, track is the same thing. I don't think you just like, I'm just going to win the 100-meter, but unless you're a little kid.
Kristen Faulkner.
Wait, but also let's talk about, so we'll talk about Kristen Faulkner, but let's talk about how cool the mixed races have been across all the different sports. So,
yeah, they have been.
Yeah, like, so unless you're living on a rock, I think you're aware that this year the goal of the Olympics was to have equal male athletes and equal female athletes. And so there was a lot of different competitions where there was females and males competing together as a team.
Like Laura.
So Laura and Stu are competing together.
The mixed dinghy.
Yeah, the mixed dinghy, and then but even track, like I thought the relay.
The relay, yeah,
the mixed relay was so interesting. Like that was so. I thought that was one of my favorite events of the Olympics was the mixed relay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I just thought it was great. So I hope they always keep the mixed, gender kind of competitions. I think it's cool.
It reminded me of the 2018 Rebecca's Private Idaho mixed duo competition.
Oh yeah. That was fun.
You did not think it was fun at the time?
No, it wasn't. Chad and I did the mixed the team competition, so duo, but it was, it could be man, woman, man, woman.
We thought it was man, woman. We
Yeah.
thought it was male, female, but when we got there, we realized that we were racing against male teams.
Yeah, it was just
two dudes racing against.
Well, there was one other male husband-wife team like us.
Yeah.
But we beat them.
Yeah.
But we lost. We came in fourth place. We lost just off the podium to 3 male teams. So.
Yeah. Good job, guys.
But
hope you're proud.
It is what it is. We all do it for the fun of it. So we weren't too upset. And then Kristen Faulkner, though, this is a crazy story that I don't think a lot of even cyclists maybe know about. If you don't read Velo News, I wouldn't know it if you hadn't told me, because you read Velo News all the time. But Kristen Faulkner, the winner of the women's road race, she wasn't even going to be in the Olympics a month ago, right?
And she's a U.S. national champ.
Can you explain how, the qualification, explain the qualification process to being on the Olympic team for road cycling? Because it's
do my best because it doesn't make any sense.
It's really confusing.
There's a couple of different ways. Well, first of all, every country doesn't get the same number of athletes. That's determined based on overall UCI points that the number of athletes from your country have accumulated. So U.S. only had 2 slots, and so that kicks in a whole process for how it's selected. And for the U.S., 1 slot went to someone who accumulated the most UCI points. No. It was the most UCI points in the World Championship of the previous year. And so that was Chloe Dygert.
Okay.
So then the second slot was going to be awarded to, which doesn't make any sense, to the winner of the time trial. But what they were thinking was that the winner of the time trial would also be a road cyclist, But what happened was the winner of the time trial happened to be a triathlete who's never done a road race in her entire life. And so she won. She beat Kristen fair and square at the national championship. So she qualified to be the U.S. representative in the road race at the Olympics, which is...
And also the time trial. It's
and the
same,
time trial.
The same people.
Same. So both her and Chloe did the time trial, and they're both doing the road race.
Yeah.
Was how back in June, that's what was determined. She's never done a road race ever. That's not only crazy, but it's very unsafe.
So for the non-cyclists, real quick, the reason it's because you might be thinking like, oh, I do triathlons. Why couldn't I do a road race? And or even if you haven't even done triathlons, but the skill to do a time trial or to do a triathlon is a very individualistic skill set. Like you're very strong, you're very powerful, and you're the fastest, but you're not riding necessarily in packs. So the bike handling skills aren't necessary as much as they are on the road.
Zero. But it's also, there's zero chance of performing. Like there's zero chance of getting results. There's zero chance of helping Chloe. Like you're just taking up a spot that someone who could and did win could go.
So what happened?
Someone.
I guess we still don't know. People were trying to convince the national time trial champion that she needed to give her spot to someone who is strong, Kristen Faulkner, because she got second in the time trial, and then also she is a really skilled road racer. So give her the spot because she's going to be the one to be able to have the most chance to bring home a gold or a silver or bronze or help Chloe do it. And she was like, no, I want to go. She was already, okay. So for people that are like, well, that's not fair. Cause like she wouldn't be able to go to Olympics.
No, she still is.
She was already going for triathlon. So she
had time trial.
So yeah. So she did not get slighted by not doing the road race.
She did 2 events instead of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So finally someone convinced her, let Kristen have this spot. And lo and behold, in the most incredible way possible, Kristen pulls off a gold, wins the road race. And what's crazy about it is, if you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, skip this part, but whatever, you've missed it already. At the very end, it was like 5K to go, if that, like maybe
when she
attacked, when they caught him.
When her and Kopecky got to the Vosses, it was 3K to go. 3K to go. 1 mile.
1 mile. So her and another girl get to the lead group, and she essentially, when she gets up to them, she just attacks, which is like, that's a normal thing to do with that amount of time to go.
Everyone knew it was coming.
And Marion,
and that's what would happen in a men's road race.
That would happen in men's race.
Yeah.
So pretty predictable that someone at this point would attack. As soon as she attacks, the other girls in the group just start looking at each other like, I'm not working for you. I don't want to, like, no one wanted to work. So they just sat up and let her ride away.
Well,
that was insane.
Voss with an A tried to go initially. And then she looked back and tried to flick Voss with an O and Kopecky through. And that's whenever you're talking about, they just looked at each other.
I think it was Marion Voss and Kopecky, a lot of Kopecky, that either they don't like each other or whatever it may be.
Well, they've said it was a mistake. They said that they were more concerned about the other girl not winning than they were about winning the race.
That's so dumb.
It's in the article today.
Yeah, like they're like, I would rather lose gold and not have this girl get on the podium than get gold and risk her getting on the podium.
Yeah. Mariana Voss said that she was tired, but Lotta Kopecky said, yeah, we really screwed up because we're more concerned about the other person not winning than winning the race. But other person, Kopecky said, as soon as I had that realization, I knew it was we were screwed up. So they
literally just let her ride away because they didn't want to work together. It was like the last mile. It was, one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
That's why you attack. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
She never looked back.
Anyway, so great day in cycling for American women.
It was amazing.
Just cycling in general. So
yeah, it was really amazing. Do you want to talk about the uniform she was wearing, the design?
So let's talk about something even more controversial. The United States Olympic cycling uniforms produced by Corey, who also produces our team kits.
Shout out to our friends at Corey.
Yeah, shout out to Corey, but I got a bone to pick with you.
Uh-oh.
They stole our design from 2018.
Yep.
When you look, I have screenshots. It is almost identical to our gray and white.
Our Strada Bianchi special edition jersey.
Special edition jersey. It is so close that we've got to talk to Scott. There's no way someone in marketing wasn't like, pull that out of the archives.
No,
like,
they 100% took it. I mean, you designed it.
Yeah.
They just took our design and they put USA across the front.
It's slightly different. Like they tweaked it because ours is like kind of more perfect geometric shapes and theirs is a little more abstract geometric shapes, but it is almost identical.
So they liked it, and you're saying someone was like, let's tweak it a little bit.
Which is totally fine. Like,
but what's funny is that I told you
this.
this.
The biggest form of flattery, but give us a shout out, because how cool would that have been if they had been like, hey, for the Olympic team uniforms, we actually have this team that sends us massive amounts of business every year that designed this kit. We thought it was really cool, and we're gonna take that and we're gonna use that to be our inspiration for Team USA. That we would have like rallied around that, and if they had put out supporter kits, we would have sold the heck out of supporter kits.
Yep.
That would have been so cool. Like, talk about a marketing miss.
Yeah. The funny part is I told you about this like a month ago, but you didn't look at it until Kristen Faulkner was going to cross the line. You're like, what? That looks.
I was like, wait a minute.
Just like her.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, and then you pulled up the pictures, and you're like, well, that's almost exactly the right same.
Mm-hmm.
So are you going to say something to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say something to Scott and Chris, right?
Alex.
Yeah. I'm going to say something to Scott and Alex, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll ever make it past the two of them, but...
They know. All right.
So on the conversation of uniforms, let's talk track uniforms. Because obviously the track and field events, depending on who you are, but arguably the most, or I'm sure they probably are the most watched events at the Olympics. I
think so, yeah.
Don't know the exact analytics.
Gymnastics might be there.
Yeah, it could be close. Anyways, it's the other big event.
It's the second half. Like,
yes.
Thank God track and field's here.
And so, yeah, it's great. It's a great time. It's always amazing. It's also good to watch because it happens really fast. Like a lot of the track, so they're not like long and prolonged. Like once it gets to the marathon, people are gonna be like, Even though I'm excited about the marathon. Cool.
I think it's cool that with Peacock we can watch all the qualifying races, because in the past you just see the final, so you don't even get to see all these qualifying races.
All the drama.
Yeah, like watching the 1500 qualifier.
Yeah.
The mile, basically, like the amount of pain and suffering.
See, I need to go back and rewatch it because I didn't watch. You just watched it.
I mean, you've got the guys there at the top.
Yeah.
But then you've got these other guys just absolutely destroying themselves.
Like turning themselves inside out.
Yeah, it's like, you know how we were talking about like when we watch the sprinters and they come across the line and they're just like talking.
Yeah.
You're like, they don't even look like
They don't even look like they're trying.
Yeah. Watch 1500 qualifier. They're literally dying. Yeah. Like they're laying on the ground.
There was quite a bit of controversy around the uniforms that Nike produced for the U.S. track and field team, specifically around the brief, the women's brief.
Yeah.
And I guess the controversy was women were enraged by this because they thought that it was like men at Nike creating uniforms for women that was showing off the female body too much.
It's because the brief was like high cut. Kind
of, but like not that different when you look. I mean, I feel like the traditional track brief is like very like low cut.
Yeah.
Like it's itty bitty teeny bikini.
Yeah.
This was just more of like a high rise.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit higher on the hip, like came up a little bit higher on the leg, the hip bottom part of it. But I saw one girl wearing it, and it didn't look that bad to me.
I almost feel like it was like weirdly positioned on the mannequin.
Maybe.
Whenever they released it.
Well, there's such a reaction to it, and Nike was like, well, then the Nike athletes came out and were like, not that big of a deal. We have like 5 options for bottoms. So like you've got, all different types of like short, like longer shorts, shorter shorts, the brief, like the shorter brief, the higher brief, whatever.
The loose shorts too.
The loose shorts. Yeah. An abundance of options. Yeah. Some people like to run in briefs. Some people don't. Like, just let everyone be comfortable with whatever they're comfortable in.
So overall design, you like them?
Yeah, it looked cool. Yeah, and cool. I like that they changed it up. Like they had
for the 100-meter finals.
Yeah, the 100-meter final, and they like came out with cool like different kits. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, they brought in like the red. We talk about Nike a lot on this podcast. They should sponsor. Are there any other track and field kits that caught your attention?
I liked Great Britain. I thought Great Britain had. I mean, they're not crazy, but I do like the gray bridge.
Clean.
I always like the Netherlands because of the orange, because it's just bright and it's easy to see and it stands out so much from all the other kits.
Femke Bowl.
Femke Bowl, man. she was a dark horse for sure.
Yeah. And Belgium's.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, Belgium's track kits replicated their cycling kits. They had the same design element in it. Yeah.
Huh.
Which I was critical of, but it looks better on the track.
Yeah.
What about the fact that the 100-meter finals came down to a photo finish?
Of their noggins.
And we were talking about how aerodynamics is not a factor in track.
Yeah.
And then there's all these articles that came out today about...
Wait. What was your favorite kits?
I'd say it's the same Belgium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I like all those that you mentioned too. I also like St. Lucia, the girl that won the 100 meters.
Yeah.
Just with the light blue. But then there's also the ones that Bandit made. I forget what little island that is.
So Bandit sponsored a woman who actually lives and goes to school in America, but she's from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which I'm not overly familiar with as a location. But really cool that they sponsor, and their kit it was a good kit.
And she got fourth.
Yeah, and she got fourth. In the what?
I think it's an 800.
Yeah, the 800.
800, yeah.
But that kit is cool.
Yeah, they did a really good job with it.
I like that. I like Bandit. Great.
So yeah, it's funny. Like we were talking about how the track kits are like all over the place when it comes to how they fit and the design. Like,
yeah, like some are tight, some are baggy, some are loose.
And we're like, that doesn't happen in cycling because everyone's obsessed with being aerodynamic.
Yeah.
And then all these articles came out
today.
Also,
like people's, like the way they like wear their hair, the way they wear their jewelry, the way they like every
hair
little thing.
Flowing everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, there's no way this is aerodynamic.
Yeah.
And then when we did the math, Noah Lyle ran 27 miles an hour.
Yeah. Like aero matters if you're going that fast.
So all these articles have come out in cycling publications about how cyclists, it's the first thing they think about is like all these watts that you're losing. Mm-hmm. And they've done some nerd calculation and determined that the guy that got second to Noah would have won if he had a tight shirt on because he had this like really
like a
loose,
skin suit.
Yeah, like a skin suit.
Yeah.
And I forgot, but there was a time in track and field in the late 90s, early 2000s where they were obsessed with aerodynamics. They were wearing like full skin suits. Mm-hmm. But now at some point, and that's what these articles were talking about, is like, why did track and field forget that aerodynamics matter?
Yeah, it's weird.
And so, like even like aero socks, they're like, if they just wore long aero socks, it would shave off time.
Yeah.
So it's like, why aren't they like, maybe we should ask our friends at Nike, like, why are they not thinking about aerodynamics for sprinters? Or is it just the sprinters themselves don't think it matters and think that fashion is more important than winning? I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I think there's definitely I think there's been an elevated sense of self-expression. Like people really want to be able to express their uniqueness and like through style, through their nails, through their hair, through their makeup, through their jewelry, and like that. I mean, I totally get that. But I think you can do that.
The huge long braids. There's no way that's keeping her from.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, but I think you could still like express yourself outside of the sport and then like as soon as you're competing, make yourself more aerodynamic.
Yeah.
Because I even think like Ansley and I used to joke which is more aero, the braid or the battle bun. So for like non-cyclists out there, there's not a lot of ways to wear your hair when you have a helmet on. So especially if you have long hair. And so like for me, I put my braid through the little back of the helmet and braid it. And that's kind of like, that's just what I always do. Ansley, by contrast, she puts her hair through the back of the helmet and then she wraps it in a bun. And it turns out that the battle bun is maybe slightly more aerodynamic.
Really? They've done research on this.
Ansley told me about it. I think it was like they did it for fun in the specialized wind tunnel.
Oh.
There was like some girls that did it. And the battle bun was like maybe like not enough to really make a difference. But
think about what a difference in sporting philosophy is.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what it goes to is like the level that we will go to as cyclists to create the most aerodynamic like physique as possible.
Yeah.
Is just like why we're amateurs, like we don't even have a reason to do this, but like we're also obsessed with it. Like, yeah, so it is weird to me when I see like even like was it the Netherlands girl? Yeah. She had her hair in like a really loose ponytail and it was kind of like flopping around. And that was driving me crazy because I'm like, girl, just like put some gel in your hair, slick it back and like get that thing in a tight bun.
Yeah.
So you're more aero.
Yeah.
But the hair, like that ponytail waving around and her like, it was driving me crazy.
we're going to ask Brett. We're going to ask Brett about this.
Yeah. Because I am curious.
Yeah, like why they don't think about aerodynamics more. But there's so many, like the ribs, like cycling has gone to an extreme. Like
the ribs on the material.
Ribs on the material, like creating the air disruption flow around, like all of that. Like that has to apply to running.
Yeah,
it has to. Anyway, we'll. I'm going to check in with Nike and we'll get back to you on this one.
Okay.
So anything else on the Olympics you want to talk about?
I think that's it. We've covered a lot.
Our Olympic themed, and we're still watching.
What are we going to watch today?
Well, today is women's soccer. We're not going to watch it, but I'm sure we'll see what happens there. And then a lot of track events, a lot more qualifying. I think the discus finals today, which we are favored to win gold with. Forgetting her name, she won gold in Tokyo. Mm-hmm. But if she wins gold, and she'll set some kind of record.
That's cool.
Yeah, Laura is still out there sailing. And thanks for everyone on the feedback with the episode with her. That was a lot of fun. Glad we were able to get an Olympian on the show before she went over.
If you know any other Olympians, send them our way.
Well, we know a few more, but we got to wait until they're done.
Yeah, if they're interesting.
So we might have some follow-up Olympian.
If you're friends with the pommel horse guy.
I don't know how interesting he would be.
I don't think he would like to interview.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all we have for you today. So share, subscribe. Rate. Don't forget to rate. Leave a nice little comment if you're feeling compelled. But that helps us out a lot. So we appreciate you and signing off.
All right.